What is happening, people? UFC 300 is finally here, the biggest card of the year, and we cannot wait to get stuck into this. We have got an absolute phenomenal stacked card ahead of us, so let's get into these picks and start breaking down some of these odds. First up for the early prelims, and early prelims is insane to be naming these two fighters. Deiveson Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt. 22-3-1 for Figueiredo, 14-5-0 for Garbrandt, and minus 334 favourite on Figueiredo, and a plus 250 underdog for Cody Garbrandt. Figueiredo, former flyweight champion, made his bantamweight debut against Rob Font and secured the victory via unanimous decision. He's always game. Fast as hell. Striking ability is unbelievable with 9 wins in his career so far by KO. He's also got the grappling skills to match it with 8 submission victories under his belt. This man can do it all. He's dangerous, always turns up to fight. He's looking at continuing his run to bantamweight division against Cody No Love Garbrandt. Cody Garbrandt on a 2-fight winning streak right now after moving down to flyweight and getting KO'd cold by Kattar of France. He came back to bantamweight and took a unanimous decision over Trevin Jones and then finished Brian Kelleher in the first round. Same as Figgy, Garbrandt always turns up to fight. He has a great pace, great boxing, and he never is afraid to stand and trade. And what a lot of people might forget about is the wrestling skills that this man possesses. And this one is an unbelievable fight, as I mentioned, to kick off an historical event. As mentioned, both men always turn up to fight, and I expect to see fireworks from the get-go on this one. As for my pick, I'm going to be backing Figgy to get this one done. His pace, his power, and his grappling will see him finish Cody Garbrandt in the second or third round. I mean, no disrespect when I say this, but Cody's chin has been clocked a couple of times, and Figgy has the ability to turn the lights out. Up next, we got Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. 31-15-1 for Bobby Green, 37-17-0 for Jim Miller. Minus 175 favorite on Bobby Green and a plus 150 underdog for Miller. Another great matchup. Bobby Green coming off his recent loss to Jarwin Turner, who finished him in the first round, took some extra punches that he just didn't need to take. Bobby is a veteran of the game at this point himself, and he has fought some of the best guys in the lightweight division. His boxing is fantastic, comes in with his hands down and just walks forward with some smooth head movement and footwork to get out of the way of the shots. Bobby is another dude that isn't afraid to stand and trade to, and he's never in a boring fight. Jim motherfucking Miller, the absolute legend, has fought in UFC 100, UFC 200, and he's now fighting in UFC 300, which is absolutely insane. This dude has been around forever and deserves a place in the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. His career speaks for itself, and you can never count the old dog out. With 20 submissions in his time, Jim Miller will probably go down as one of, if not the best, MMA grappler of all time. Currently on a 2-fight win streak, and it doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. This is going to be one hell of a fun fight. I think Jim Miller might actually just take it, to be honest. It can hurt you with his striking, and he can definitely submit you when you're down on the ground. Bobby is pretty slick on the ground, we'll give him that, and I reckon that Jim Miller might actually be able to knock his ass out. Bobby KO from Turner was only 4 months ago too, and even though he's game as hell, I'm not sure that's enough time to recover and come back in against a veteran like Jim Miller. Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez. 25-12-0, 17-3-0. Minus 110 for Jessica Andrade and a minus 110 for Marina Rodriguez too, so these are evens, people. Andrade coming off a recent victory over Mackenzie Dern, where she finished her with a left hook and a straight right in the second round. She had a very active 2023 with 5 fights throughout the year, with 3 losses out of those 5 fights against Erin Blanchfield, Jean Nanyan, and Tatiana Suarez. She'll be looking at avoiding a skid like that again. With some heavy hands and great grappling skills, she'll be looking to defend a top 5 position in the rankings. Rodriguez finished Michelle Waterson last year in the second round. Before that, she had back-to-back losses against Janda Robert and Amanda Lemos. Rodriguez has 7 finishes across her career and 9 decision victories. After suffering those losses, she's trying to work her way back to the top 5 so she can head towards a title opportunity again. But will Andrade's grappling and power be too much for her to get by? I'm going to be backing Jessica Andrade in this fight. As I mentioned above, she has some crazy power in her hands. She's always game, and her grappling skills are fantastic. And I just think it's in the grappling exchanges where she's going to get the upper hand on Rodriguez. Up next, we've got Jarwin Turner versus Renato Money Moicano. 14-7-0 for Turner, 18-5-1 for Moicano. Turner coming off his recent victory over Bobby Green. As mentioned before, he's been looking great recently. Yeah, he had split decision losses to Gambrat and Dan Hooker, but they were tough fights through and through. Before that, he was on a 5-fight winning streak after suffering a loss to Matt Frivola, but after that, he went on 6 victories, which all came by finish. He's tall, he's rangy, his striking seems to improve in every fight. One thing to note, though, is every fight that he's gone the distance in, he's lost. Money Moicano, an absolute maniac on the mic recently, bouncing into this fight off a 2-fight win streak, one by rear naked choke against Brad Riddell, and the other one a unanimous decision with Drew Dober. Moicano wants that title opportunity. He knows he's getting older, and he knows he doesn't have one left, and this is his chance. He never fought at all during 2023 due to injury, but he's back and he's looking at having a very active 2024. With 10 submission victories in his career, he favors the grappling in his matchups. He has a good level of striking and he's always game for a fight. It is worth mentioning that he has never finished any of his opponents though, but he has been finished 3 times in his career. But anytime he's gone the distance, 8 out of 9 times Moicano's got the job done. This is going to be a tough one to pick. Will Turner come out here and starch him? Will Moicano be able to weather the storm, take the fight into the later rounds and win this fight via a decision? I'm going to be backing Moicano to take the decision win in this one. Jalen Turner has decent grappling himself, so it won't be an easy fight to get through to take him down on the ground and to submit him, but I reckon that Moicano can do enough to take the decision in this fight. He will just have to get in close and make it dirty, as Turner's 6'3" with a 75.5-inch reach. We know Moicano can take a dig as he's just gone the distance with Drew Dober, so I don't think getting KO'd from Turner is the outcome in this one. But it's MMA. I could be wrong. For the prelims, we've got Sodiq Yusuff versus Diego Lopez. 13-3-0 for Yusuff and 23-6-0 for Lopez. Sadiq's coming off his loss against Edson Barboza, which was a very fun matchup. Sadiq is very technically aware, has great fight IQ, and carries power in his hands. His combinations are great, and he's another dude that always turns up to fight. Only issue, he isn't being active in recent years, only fighting once a year since 2020. Will we be able to get it done against a young and hungry prospect like Diego Lopez? Lopez, after losing to Movsar Evloev in an absolute banger of a debut fight, has gone on to win back-to-back first-round finishes. One against Gavin Tucker via an armbar, or triangle armbar, and the other one, Pat Sabatini, in November via punches. This seems like a big step up for the featherweight prospect, but it will definitely let us know whereabouts he is in the division with a win over Sodiq Yusuff. With 3 fights in 2023, Lopez has been the more active fighter. He comes out fast and he gets straight to his opponent's face. We've seen him go 3 rounds with Evloev where he never gave up right up until the end, but this is going to be a very different fight. I think without the heavy wrestling that he faced in his debut, even if it doesn't manage to get to the finish early, he'll have the output to get to the decision victory. Next up, we got Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. 15-6-0 for Holly Holm, 16-1-0 for Kayla Harrison. Plus 350 underdog on Holly Holm and a minus 450 favorite for Harrison. Holm had a last fight overturned to a no contest against Bueno Silva, and before that she took Yana Santos to a decision victory. After beating Ronda Rousey for the bantamweight title back in 2015, Holly Holm's form has been very inconsistent. She's only won 5 of the last 12 fights, and at this point in her career, when's she going to be hanging up these gloves? Recently, she is the queen of decision victories, and she can take her way through 3 rounds and keep herself in the game if she needs to. Kayla Harrison making a UFC debut at this event. She was an Olympic judo winner, and after that she joined the PFL. She had 14 fight winning streak in the PFL before she lost to Larissa Pacheco in 2022, and her last fight was a unanimous decision against Aspen Ladd, who was cut from the UFC in 2022. This one's an interesting matchup. Will Kayla Harrison even be able to make the weight to get in there? And for sure this will be a good fight for Kayla's introduction if she can. Given her judo background, being the younger fighter, and obviously with Holly Holm being 42 years old, I can see her taking a decision in this fight. She's been very active, very consistent in her performances compared to Holly Holm. But in saying all of this, you can't expect Holly Holm to be making it easy for her either. And you could argue that Holly Holm has been fighting a higher level opponents throughout her career. But I'm still going to be backing Kayla Harrison to get this one done. Next up, we got Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling. 23-7-0 for Kattar and 23-4-0 for Sterling. After getting absolutely destroyed by Max Holloway, Kattar returned to beat the brakes off of Giga Chikadze in a unanimous decision victory. He then lost the battle against Josh Emmett in a split decision to then fall short against Arnold Allen, but this time it was to a knee injury. Kattar is one hell of a fighter and is a problem for most of his opponents, always standing in front of them and always game to trade. He's coming back after just 1 year off from recovery from his knee injury, and he's set to face Aljamain Sterling, who's making his featherweight debut. Sterling's coming off his KO loss to Sean O'Malley after having a very dominant bantamweight career and securing the title from Petr Yan due to an illegal knee. He's moving up to featherweight to see if he can make some waves. We know how Aljo likes to fight. He has some decent striking, but he likes to use his striking to be setting up for takedowns and favors the grappling exchanges. Once he gets you down, it's a long night in the office for anybody that it faces, and then the submission threat is always there. He likes to jump on the back, rat pack, tap, tap, as he always likes to say. This fight is going to be epic. Will Kattar be able to stave off the takedowns? Will the time away in activity play into this? And will he be able to keep this one on the feet where he has a better chance at winning this fight? On the flip side, will Aljo be able to hang with these bigger boys, and will he be able to control them on the ground as we've seen him do with many others before? I went back and forward a couple of times on this one, but I'm going to be backing Aljo to get it done, either by submission or decision. I think the time away due to injury will play a part, and Aljo should be able to take the shots that Kattar can dish out and secure a takedown, and from there do what he does best. Headline in the prelims, we've got Yuri Prochazka versus Aleksandarrakic. 29-4-1 for Prochazka and 14-3-0 for Rakic, plus a 110 underdog for Yuri and a minus 138 for Rakic as the favorite in this. Coming off his loss to Alex Pereira after a long time out due to an injury, fell short on reclaiming his light heavyweight title. He didn't look terrible in the fight, and he definitely had his moments, but unfortunately he was finished in the second round by that patented left hook of Alex Pereira. Before that, he tore through the division quickly to get his title shot against Glover Teixeira. With 25 finishes across this man's career, his striking is great, and he has some wicked elbows. Rakic is a 6'4" monster of a man. With wins over Anthony Smith and Thiago Santos, he's definitely got what it takes to hang in there with the best. He lost his last fight to Jan Blachowicz due to the leg injury in 2022 and is set to make his return. He's long, he's rangy, he's got his tools to win in this fight. Both men coming off losses, both men coming off injuries, and both men being absolute giants. This one's shaping up to be a great fight, and I'm leaning on Rakic taking the decision in this one. I think he's going to be able to chop the legs. I think he's just going to be kicking the life out of Jerry, and if he can keep Jerry at range, utilize those kicks. But even in saying that, Jerry is a very dangerous man himself and be wanting to get back into the winning column and back towards regaining that light heavyweight strap. I just think that the range of Rakic is going to be too much, and the leg kicks are going to absolutely destroy him on the way in. Kicking off the main card, we've got Bo Nickal versus Cody Brundage. 5-0-0 for Bo Nickal, 10-5-0 for Cody Brundage, a -2,000 betting favorite with a +1,000 underdog. These are some wild odds, people. I don't think I've ever seen a line that far apart before. The other crazy thing about this fight is that it's kicking off the main card when we have former champions in the build-up. That's just absolutely nuts. At one point, it wasn't even kicking off the main card, and it was set to take place after Oliveira versus Tsarukyan. The hype train is very much alive and well for Bo Nickal, joining the UFC through 2 first-round finishes on the Dana White Contender Series. He has submitted Jamie Pickett in the first round, as well as beat the brakes off of Val Woodburn. He was recently on the Believe You Me podcast talking about wanting a challenging fight to show that what he can really do. Is Bo Nickal really the monster that we think he is, and will anyone ever give him the challenge that he's looking for? Cody Brundage hasn't had the most consistent run in the UFC so far. Since joining the UFC back in 2021, he has 4 wins and 4 losses in the promotion. Recently received a win over Jacob Malkoun after being struck in the back of the head with an illegal elbow and then slamming Zach Reese into the floor, knocking him out and following up with some extra shots. This is lining up to probably be the biggest fight in his UFC career, and will he be able to get past the hype train of Bo Nickal? He's been submitted and finished early in a couple of his fights, and if Bo is what we think he is, then he's going to have a rough night in the office for Cody. I'm going to be backing Bo, but this line is a crazy one. Sticking a little bit of money on Cody just in case he gets the upset would definitely bag you some cash if he manages to pull it off. Up next, we've got Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. 34-9-0 for Oliveira, 21-3-0 for Tsarukyan. This is probably one of the best fights of the night, and the one that I'm probably looking forward to the most, other than that BMF. Yeah, but this card is just stacked, like I said, but this is probably one of the better fights that I'm looking forward to. Both of these men coming off a first round finish against Beneil Dariush. Both men have incredible careers so far, and both men can get the finish from anywhere in a fight. Will Oliveira be able to handle the wrestling pressure from Tsarukyan, and will his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu be a factor in securing a submission victory? Both men can strike, but I would give the advantage in this one to Charles Oliveira, who has the height and reach advantage in the fight and could definitely keep Arman fighting from range. But if Arman gets in close, then it will be a completely different fight when that wrestling pressure comes into play. Both of these guys wanting a shot at the title. Both of them have faced Islam Makhachev before, with Arman actually giving him a tougher fight than Charles did earlier in his UFC career. The fight, I'm sure, is going to be amazing, and I'm honestly torn in which way it's going to be going, but I got to make a pick. So I'm going to be taking Charles to get this one done. I think he has the power advantage. We will make Tsarukyan try to go for a takedown, and as we know, Oliveira will let you take him down. This motherfucker will pull guard happily at any moment in a fight, and he's super dangerous off his back. He can land a submission from absolutely anywhere. So Charles by submission is how I'm going to be backing this one. Here we go, people. Another one of the craziest fights on the card for the BMF title. Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. 25-4-0 for Gaethje, 25-7-0 for Holloway, -188 favorite on Gaethje, and a +162 underdog for Max Holloway. Now, it's known I've not been the biggest fan of the BMF title doing the rounds. It's gimmicky as hell, and I was like, just give it up already. But the closer we get to this fight, I'm like, hell yes, let's go. I'm also a huge Max Holloway fan. Blessed has been one of my favorite fighters for a very, very long time. And Justin Gaethje is up there in my top 5 too. I've watched the entirety of both of these careers, and these are two dudes that absolutely love to fight. Max is a volume striker, as everyone knows, and he will get in your face and pepper the life out of you for 5 rounds. Justin Gaethje is a heavy hitter with some crazy leg kicks. Even though he doesn't utilize them that much anymore, they're still there. And both of these guys will stand and trade toe-to-toe with anybody. Neither of these men will be walking away unscathed and ready to jump into another fight anytime soon after this one. We all remember the Max and Dustin fight, and that's why my only concern here for Max is moving up to lightweight again and coming up against someone that cracks as hard as Justin has me worried just a little bit. Do I think that Justin will be the guy that cracks Max's chin? No. Do I think that Justin will be the guy that knocks him down? No. But what I do see is a 5-round war coming up. I'm leaning to Gaethje to take it just on how crazy his power is, and he will probably do more significant damage throughout this fight. Can Max win? Sure, but he'll need to stay on the outside. He'll need to work from range. He'll need to light up Gaethje with a jab and constantly work through the relentless pressure of Justin. Justin also has a very solid wrestling game. Now, I don't expect him to use it because he doesn't utilize it that much anymore, but it's definitely something that he can bust out if he has to. So yeah, I'm going with Gaethje on this one, but the real winner on Saturday night is the fans, because this fight is going to be wild. The co-main event of the evening, Weili Zhang versus Xiaonan Yan. 24-3-0, 17-3-0, minus 400 for Weili and a plus 300 underdog for Yan. This is going to be the battle of China, people. For the strawweight championship, we have two phenomenal mixed martial artists going head to head. Weili defeated Jessica Andrade to secure the belts, defended it against Joanna Jacek, then lost it to Rose Namajunas. Lost a rematch to Rose, who then lost the title to Carla Esparza. Weili beat Joanna again, then regained the title from Carla Esparza and is now coming off a defense over Amanda Lemos. The championship reign, race, and journey has been the highest highs and the lowest of lows, and she is set to defend it once again. Xiaonan Yan is coming in on a 2-fight winning streak over Mackenzie Dern and Jessica Andrade and has rightfully secured her spot at the title opportunity. She's fast. She's got some crazy power in her hands, and she's boasting 7 finishes across her career so far. Will it be enough to take on Zhang Weili, who herself is incredibly powerful, has some great grappling skills, and can leave a woman swollen to the point where she's unrecognizable, as we've seen her do against Joanna Jacek? This fight is going to be a battle, and either someone's getting finished or it's going to be a war till the end. I'm backing Weili to defend her title once more. She's been in this situation a number of times. She's fought against the best women of the division multiple times, and she has proven herself to be one of the greats. Even though both women can bang, I think that Weili has a slight power advantage, and mix that in with the grappling ability, we should see her retain her title by the end of this fight. Here we go, folks. The main event of the evening, Alex Pereira versus Jamahal Hill. 9-2-0 for Pereira, 12-1-0 for Jamahal Hill. Minus 138 favorite for Pereira, and a plus 110 underdog on Jamahal Hill. Now, this fight doesn't get the recognition that it deserves, partly due to the hype and the build-up that Dana White and the UFC gave it for being the 300 headliner, and partly because the MMA fan base can be so fickle at times. Any other time of the year, people probably would have been buzzing about this fight. But anyway, let's not hang around that bit too much, and let's get stuck into it. So a light heavyweight matchup on the hands. Pereira is about to face his 4th UFC champion in his short career with the promotion. Is absolutely phenomenal. He made short work of Adesanya before getting KO'd himself in a rematch. He took Yan to a split decision where he looked far better than anyone thought he would at light heavyweight, and then he knocked out Jerry in the second round, as mentioned earlier, with that wicked left hook. He walks his opponents down, throws some nasty calf kicks, mate. I don't even know how he generates so much power because they're so short and snappy. Jamahal Hill, coming off an injury sustained playing basketball and having to relinquish the title, believes he is the true light heavyweight champion and that he will regain this title on Saturday night. Jamahal has some great boxing coming into this. He's a great counter striker and has a decent level of grappling, which we are yet to see from Pereira. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't expect to see this one to go to the ground at all, and it's a tough matchup to go up against Pereira's kickboxing style and heavy pressure. If he ends up stepping into that left hook, it could be lights out. Alex will be looking to pressure forward from the get-go, but I think if Jamahal Hill can really utilize his counter-striking, as we've seen Izzy do in the second fight against Pereira, it's not impossible for him to get the finish here. He just needs to make sure he keeps his hands up. I'm backing Jamahal Hill to regain his title in this one and shock everyone that thinks Alex Pereira is going to steamroll him. I see it happening in the 2nd or 3rd round, and at plus money, it's definitely something I'm going to be sticking on my picks. So that's it, people. UFC 300 wrapped up, ready to go. Let's get it. It's going to be some incredible fights. Make sure you do not miss a single one, because this is going to be a card for the history books. If you're new to the channel and you like my quick breakdown and you like what I'm talking about, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button, and I'll catch you on the next one, people. Peace.
What's going on, people? Arnold Allen here. Make sure you subscribe to the Rambling Dad podcast. Keep up to date with all his MMA content, fight breakdowns, interviews, and all that stuff. Give him a follow, give him a subscription, and yeah, get over there.